chance to start looking for a book I'm missing.
Okay, down to business. Let's see. How did you get started in art?
Add pencils were cheap.
This was at SAC
No.
or at Winans?
High school.
Oh,
Grade
in
school.
high school.
I started my art career as commercial art. That's how I know so much about commercial.
You weren't one of those Highland boys, were you? Highland High? How about Jeff? Not a Jeff boy.
No.
Or
Burbank.
where?
Burbank.
You were a Burbank boy.
Oh God, yes. And how?
So you got some pencils and you started sketching. And your teacher said, you've got some talent.
Oh, they didn't.
So you said,
It didn't matter to me what the teacher said. Hey,
what year was this? About the
46, 47,
46, you grabbed some pencils and you started sketching.
and decided I was going to be an artist.
And you decided you were going to be an artist.
Looks like a good idea. A lot of times you don't have to work outside.
It's a good life.
Yeah. Clutter kind of like goes with it.
Now, who was your first inspiration?
And Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali.
Yep.
Surrealistic.
Yep. I like Picasso too.
Like Picasso. So you became aware of them when you were in high school?
Oh no, they were featured a lot in the magazines. It wasn't like I saw them personally. I saw their work. I especially like Pablo Picasso's style.
Cubism. Then, you went into painting. When did you get interested in painting? That was in college.
No, I traded a guy a stamp collection for a watercolor set that had been given as a gift. And he wanted, I guess that was 54.
1954. You were about how old then?
I don't know.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Going into your teenage years.
And I went to work for Louis Berkey, about 55, I guess.
Louis Berkey.
He was one of my great teachers of art. He had a novelty store that was a front for his printing business.
This was here in San Antonio.
Yeah, he's still here. You can interview him sometime. Find out where did he go wrong with
Now you studied under Cos's.
him. No,
You knew Cos's.
I knew him.
What did you think about Cos's?
I studied around him.
What did you think about Cos's?
It depends. It's a sight and situation as to what I think about him. It depends on how he reacts to me, what I think about him.
Did he influence your work at all?
Well, yes, he did.
In what way?
He inspired other less gifted people to become artists.
As a teacher, you thought he
Yes.
was inspirational
He must have been.
over and
He
above his
inspired-
work.
He inspired Bob Moorhead.
You studied around Bob Moorhead?
Oh, yes. He taught me a lot of everything I know.
Okay. Picasso, Salvador Dali,
And Bob Moorhead.
and Bob Moorhead, you studied around them. This was in the 60s, early 60s?
Early 60s.
Early 60s. Okay. And when did you start taking up oil painting?
Um, 56, 57. Probably 56.
Mm-hmm.
Part of an art class.
Mm-hmm. Where was this? At,
Burbank.
oh, at Burbank High. They had an art class there.
Oh yeah. Vocational. I was in commercial art. Went all morning, commercial art. And I took my other courses.
Mm-hmm.
It was very vocational. That's where I learned a lot of my techniques of organization.
Now, when did you start getting into the three-dimensional art? Didn't we work for Robbie Boboso down at Josty's?
Yes, and didn't we work for Merlin Beamont?
Beamont.
Who blew dead bears?
Beamont. Blue Bears. That was in about 61, 62, 63.
Camille was born that year, so it had to be 64.
64. You were born in San Antonio.
No, I was born in Alice,
You were born in Alice,
1939,
1939,
in the home of my aunt
in the home of your aunt.
on 5th Street. Mother's Day, 1939. I remember it well.
Now, let's see, you've had shows around town and you've been in art shows.
Oh yes, I've been to
What about your first showing?
dog shows.
Your first showing?
My first showing. My first showing was for a poster contest at Jost in high school.
How did that turn out?
Turned out pretty good. I think I got 25 bucks. I was on the road to fame. I knew it then. It was going to happen.
Now I see the two doves. Tell me about that painting.
That's a knockoff of a Byzantine mosaic from Ravenna, from the tomb, the alleged tomb of Princess, what's her name?
That's oil?
Mm-hmm.
When did you start on that painting?
I have no idea. I hope that made sense.
Oh yeah. Now I see a house
Mm-hmm.
with a
That's
street
the
light.
Cos House.
Tell me about that one.
Well, that's a little bit fauve, a little bit impressionist, a little bit surreal, and just a little bit out of whack.
Where's this house located? Is this from memory or from a real house?
It's a real house.
It's a real house.
This is the site of the surrender of Cos, less than perfecto Cos, surrendered to the incident that led to the Alamo.
And this is an oil painting?
Mm-hmm. And through here, you see the Arneson River Theater and the Riverwalk.
I've seen that house before.
Of course
I've been
you
there.
have. Of course you
How
have.
many times have I been through that portal?
Many a time. Without even knowing what that building there was. It should be as important as the Alamo. But to the victors go the spoils. And who's up on top today will be on bottom tomorrow. It's part of the cycling in politics.
Uh-huh.
the cycling of San Antonio's politics. We are in a period now I would call the deconstruction of Texas history.
Down there it shows a woman with her hand resting on her head.
Yes, it's one of those paintings I've worked on now for 20 years, maybe 18. Someday it'll be finished, I know, and it'll look good. Hello? Is this on?
No, this is just a test. Now, give me your full name.
Fool?
First name,
Charles.
Charles.
Francis
Francis.
Winans. It's a Dutch name.
Now, you're a local boy.
No. And yes. Yes and no.
The local boy who made good.
Made art. I don't know about good.
Well, some folks around this town say that your middle name is Art, but you say it's Francis, but...
Art was actually my ex-father-in-law.
Ah.
It was interesting. Art for a father-in-law.
Now, let's see, any members of your family? Any artistic
Oh yeah.
leanings there? Tell me about
Oh, yeah.
that.
They all have it.
All artistic.
Mm-hmm. Do ain't artistic it be autistic? Hey.
Friend of yours down there?
Yeah, that's my dog.
Nice fellow.
Oh yes, he is. Now that he's had his dog bone, he's a happy dog. Yes, he's a happy dog.
Now, what would his name be?
His name is Plutonium Solo. A damn fine dog. Good dog. For dogs. As dogs go, he's a good dog. I'm a good dog. Except when I'm a lying bad dog, and then I'm just a lying bad dog. This is a sitting good dog. Now then.
What kind of message would you have for aspiring artists as, to get them started and get them interested in art?
Brain food. Smart drugs would help. A lot of smart drugs. Oh, and be born well connected. I think that would help more than anything else.
How much does art school help an artist learn how to do art?
Quite a bit, actually, in my case, because I went there and found out that the ones that usually made the best grades and the best were well connected and well born, and I might add, well bred, well educated. However, they seem to have a difficulty in approaching a blank canvas with anything except kind of a white-lipped terror. They were always so afraid people would knock them off and know that they weren't having original ideas. But luckily, a lot of them had the money to subscribe to Art Forum, and this gave them a little bit of a leg up on everybody else. Because it turned out that many of our finest artists basically see what's happening somewhere else and then they try it. And they think that puts them in the mainstream. And I guess it does in a way. And they do the endless variation of whatever the hip guys are doing.
The question that Cos always asked his students was, what is art?
Art is what you make it. Art is how you find it. Art is how you perceive it. Art is who's grading your papers.
I like that. Good definition.
Well, depends on which art school your teacher came from. And in most of the art schools I went to, you basically were assigned whatever the art school had as a teacher. You didn't get to like form some opinion or say, well, I'm not taking him for drawing. He was all there was for drawing. Mrs. Peavy taught me a lot about painting.
Now, you got started in mosaic. Tell me about how you got started in mosaic.
That was through Thomas Stell Jr., who was this old friend of O'Neill Ford, Lynn Ford, and he did mosaics.
He's well known around here.
He is known around here. Well known only to those that would know him. Whoops.
Now, when you got started in mosaic, your first big project was for O'Neill Ford.
Actually, it was for Dr. West of Tesoro Petroleum, Tom Hebner, and that ever-understanding and incredibly gifted young man, Henry Cisneros.
In about 1968, didn't I see you down there at the Kienholz exhibit in L.A.?
Mm-hmm. Yep. $5 Billy. Barney's Beanery, which I then revisited in Amsterdam, which is an interesting effect and is part of what influenced my house. It's just sort of like Wino's Eatery. Beanery. I think it'd be a beanery. I would have been named Barney if I'd have thought of it. Something purple about that name.
Now, you're a graphic artist, as well as painter
Oh yeah.
and a mosaicist.
Yeah, that's true. Ceramicist. Metal worker. Pen and ink. Lithography. Etching. Woodcut.
And now film.
Video. This is film. For instance, in video you use yardage, not footage.